Let's go.
Back from my festive break, I will begin again with my match reviews on New Year's Day. And so we saw an under-pressure Preston North End visit the Stadium in Light, and Ryan Lowe came trying to avoid a fourth defeat in 5 games. But truth be known, Preston have been punching above their place for some time now. Lowe's biggest problem was that he did too well, significantly outperforming the XG early on in the season, and now, somewhat unfairly, the fans want rid of him. They are 23rd out of 24 in the division for XG and 22nd in shots on target. So it looked like we should exact revenge for an undeserved loss at the start of the season. But the Lilywhites were not without threats. They topped the interceptions charts and are second in aerial duels won in the division, significantly better than us. So beware the set piece. With Niall Huggins and Dennis Sirkin out, it heralded the return of Aje Alese, who hasn't played since the playoffs at Luton 7 months ago. Alex Pritchard also returned to the starting lineup after an illness, but was deployed as a right winger to accommodate a striker. We have those? The man who selected 3 midfielders before playing a striker started one from the off today. Desperate measures, or still looking at his options? Only Michael Beale knows.
2 teams I think you would file in the inconsistent bracket. Sunderland lost their last home game 3-0 to Coventry.
Whatever it was, Sunderland started brightly. In the first 90 seconds, Pritch found Clark in space, and he nearly scored.
Bellingham, it will for Clark, goes for goal, and I think it was a little further away than this initial angle showed us.
But the Lilywhites were also seeking the win and had no intention of sitting back today. Here, they cut through the middle of the park, and it is interesting to see Hume leave his wide man here and challenge Hughes in the middle.
Here's Miller. Evans and Brown in the middle. Miller might go himself here. Blocked by Hume, and a fine save by Patterson to deny Whiteman.
Takes a fantastic save from Pato to save our blushes. In all, this opening passage signalled the play for the rest of the afternoon, and we had started to see the impact of Beale in some areas. Firstly, Sunderland were intent on moving the ball upfield much quicker than previously. See here as Pato releases the ball quickly to Jack Clark, who stayed high to make himself available, but on the opposite wing. Here, Hume's interception is played fast by Pritchard.
Good challenge from Hume. Pritchard looking for Clark, cut out importantly by Story.
And here, Alise's interception is also played quick by Clark. Although nothing comes of these situations, it was a noticeable improvement on the pace of transition to attack. Secondly, Beale seems to have adopted a more cautious approach than Mowbray in attack. Largely, we retained a back 3 with Aje Alese staying deeper than Huggins or Hume might do. And overall, this did afford us some solidity at the back when out of possession. It was good to have Alese back today. He is a phenomenal one-on-one marker and is rarely beaten in a foot race. Almost nobody gets past him with the ball. I guess when you play against Patrick Roberts in training every day, it's pretty good practice. Added to Alise's strength was an improved performance from Ekwah today. Not only was he good at threading balls forward, but he showed more physicality in the tackle and dominated a bit better than usual. And he showed his skill repeatedly today.
Miller. Hughes.
He also seemed clearer about his role, and you can see him stepping into the defensive setup quite often as cover. Here as Alese loses the ball, Ekwah covers the Preston runner well, but then also drops into the back line to add strength and numbers. And thirdly, Beale seems to try to play players to their strengths, although he may still be figuring out where the best position is for some people, like Barr playing at striker the previous week. His substitutions generally, though, make sense, and today his selection did as well. Although Pritchard was selected out of position nominally as a right winger, the team's shape meant that Alese staying back allowed Hume to advance upfield, and this gave Pritchard license to roam inside when he wanted to. This was a good choice. To recognise Pritch's strength is his ability to drift between the lines and create opportunities, and he did, all of the first half. Preston had no idea who should mark him when he came inside, and when he stayed out wide. Hume underlapped in the middle of the park, often to good effect, again as Preston struggled with who should pick up Hume on these occasions. This fluidity of role between those two worked very well today, and hopefully it augurs well for Michael Beale gradually assessing his squad strength and using them to their best. It was then perhaps no surprise that it was Alex Pritchard who popped up to receive the ball in space, having drifted well infield, and unleashed a rocket to rival Form Ekwah.
Nice ball fed into space here for Pritchard!
Boom! 1-0.
Alex Pritchard! Recalled to the starting 11. Well, you might be surprised to learn it's a first goal of the season, and it's a memorable one. Just cuts across it. Maybe the slightest of fingertips from Woodman, but it's the pace that beats him. Perfect start for Michael Beale and Sunderland. Wonderful goal from Pritchard.
In defence, we saw the influence of Mike Dodds as we set up in similar fashion to Leeds. Preston topped the interception charts, and we've been caught in the counter too often at the back. So today, our wingers tucked in, and we sent Preston down the flanks. We did it all afternoon, and it explains that early decision by Hume to leave Miller and challenge the ball in the middle of the park. There was also clearly some effort to find the striker today, with probably the best one with pace to attack the space behind on the pitch. As we moved upfield with crisp passing at times.
Ekwah. Pritchard. Rusin.
Here, Rusin points for a run, but Ekwah plays it wide instead. Fair enough.
Pritchard. Will settle for the corner.
At other times, the ball wasn't quite ahead of him, like this one from Pritch.
Finding that space again. This is Rusin. Back with Pritchard. Tries his luck again from range.
But they were looking for him.
Looks for the run of Rusin. It's good defending by...
And when he did get the ball going forwards, there were other things in his way.
Says the referee. Evans has stayed down. This is Rusin. Oh, and that is definitely a foul by Lindsay. And we're going to have the game's first yellow card. Rather optimistic Sunderland fan.
Dan Neil had an outstanding game today. He was a driving force for Sunderland in more ways than one. Here, Neil is marking up in the box for the Preston throw, but just look how quick he is to pounce on the missed pass, and he's away upfield. He doesn't panic when he's nearly brought down, recovers, looks up. In all, it's great play. But it's more than his attacking nous that's developing. Just watch him in this sequence. You'll see he's always directing play, telling people where to go and where the ball should be passed to.
Ballard.
Here he is again, intercepting the ball and charging upfield with a good layoff to Pritch.
Sunderland options left and right. Option right is Pritchard.
Dan Neil is increasingly important to our overall success, but I don't know how long we can hold on to him. And then it all came together. As Preston wrestled possession of the ball in midfield, Sunderland forced them out wide, isolating play. Pato claimed an easy cross, and with Preston up front in numbers, Dan Neil shouted for the release to Clark for the quick play. And Jack, well, Jack would tear you apart from there. And when Rusin attacked the front post like a good striker should, Clark pushed the ball to him.
Tries to find Rusin, who's got his first goal in English football. It's been a long wait to New Year's Day for a striker to score in red and white stripes.
And that is a classic striker's goal.
No chance for Woodman. And his 10th appearance for Sunderland, Rusin finds his first goal.
2-0 at half-time, and we looked very much worth the lead.
It was a remarkable stat.
As the second half opened, Sunderland sat back a little more with a 2-0 lead, and this, the fourth game in 10 days, perhaps you can forgive them. Preston, on the other hand, were in need of something to get back in the game, but they found little comfort when they tried. They did get chances from the second ball. Here we're caught napping on the second ball and Preston get a shot off, but their chances would really only be from distance.
Hands on the McCann shot.
Ekwah continued to find passes and Neil to press forward in possession.
Nicely into space for Neil. Pritchard to his right, Rusin ahead of him. Here is Alex Pritchard. Bellingham makes his way into the penalty area, so too Clark.
And then, after a fine 70 minutes, Aje Alese was substituted for Timothy Pembele and Hume swapped over to left-back to accommodate him.
Good player. As is this young man, another Frenchman in the ranks. Timothy Pembele, 21-year-old. Arrived at Sunderland with injury problems of his own.
And then, 5 minutes later, Rusin was replaced by Abdullah Bar, who went into the 10 role, with Job moving up front.
Another youngster as well, just 20, Abdullah Bar, second season here, signed from Le Havre.
And as we reached the final 10 minutes of normal time, Ryan Lowe desperately threw on 3 attacking players, hoping to get something out of the game. But a final set of substitutions from Beale saw Seelt for Pritch and Mayenda for Bellingham to give us enough defensive strength to see out the win.
Seelt, who came in from PS.
There was one last piece of excitement as Jack Clark broke again down the left in the final minute. But I really have to ask, what is Mayenda doing here? There is no run into space for him, no run to draw markers and give Clark options to come inside. It's pretty poor play from a striker, and Clark, with few options, has no choice but to go it alone, really, with predictable results. But it didn't matter. The game was ours, and that was that. This is not a result to get carried away with. It was a solid performance, yes, but this was one of the worst teams in the league in terms of shooting and scoring, and they're on a dreadful run at the minute. Our problems are not fixed. We still occasionally look ponderous in attack, but new managers to teams usually change things gradually when they come in, and we're starting to see some things that look a little different. We are more cautious defensively. We commit fewer men forward when we attack, and there is an increasing variation to that attacking play. Some quick balls, some long balls. New managers at Sunderland have generally done well in the second half of the season in recent years, so let's hope that the same thing happens this season. After all, it's a pretty big game next week. I'll be around in town before and after the game this Saturday, so follow me on Twitter or drop me a message if you want to say hello. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.